#1 in the whole wide world, #1 in Cleveland,
Okay.
#1 in Ohio.
Okay.
Lord have mercy. We're knocking Arbitron dead. The Art Mckoy University radio show, the University of Common Sense. Bowles, East Cleveland today.
Wow.
Lord have mercy. We got some people in this studio, and we're going to dedicate this show to East Cleveland. Let me tell you something right now. East Cleveland is the smallest little stretch of land, the most important little stretch of land in the whole wide world. And it's amazing to me how everybody have just ignored East Cleveland, the people of East Cleveland. We're going to talk about today until on the 16th, I went to an East Cleveland City Council meeting, like I normally do. And as I got to the East Cleveland City Council meeting door, the chief of police himself, Mike Cadelli, all dressed in white, met me at the door and blocked my entrance. He said, "Mr. McCoy, you cannot come into this meeting." I said, "Chief Cadelli," I said, "why?" He said, "Because you got a letter." I said, "Chief, I didn't get no letter. What letter are you talking about?" He said, "Oh, you got a letter. You can't come in. And Mr. McCoy, if you come in here," and he reached for his cuffs, he said, "I'm going to arrest you and take you into East Cleveland jail." I said, "Mr. Cadelli, what are you talking about? How are you blocking my entrance? I didn't get no letter. So what are you doing?" He said, "Listen, get away from me. You're not coming into this meeting." And he stood in front of the door and he blocked it. I have a witness, several witnesses. Brother O'Mays was there. This man, this white officer, listen, this reminded me of apartheid. This white officer with several other white officers inside of that building blocked me, a long-time resident, businessman of East Cleveland, from coming into a public meeting without no reason. So my question to the chief is this: Chief, you made a terrible mistake, and you must pay for it. Listen, my lawyers has already sent a letter to you and also to the president of City Council, Paul Costilla, my lawyer. And we want to get to the bottom of how you blocked me from going to a public meeting without no reason. And Chief, furthermore, why would the chief of police himself stand at the door and block City Hall and block me? You got a lot to answer for, Chief. I hope you got your ducks in order, because you are not going to do this to me, a law-abiding, resident, homeowner, businessman in East Cleveland. You know what, Chief? I hate to expose this, but the fact of the matter is, East Cleveland reminds me of apartheid, because the chief is white and all of the administrators, the head administrators, are white. No black administrators at all. The black guys are down at the bottom. That's why a lot of the police department, the black police officers, including Wheeler, left. So if there was a true example of apartheid in East Cleveland, I saw it myself. I want some answers, and I want them now, Chief. I want some answers, President Wheeler. Give me the music back before I get upset, and let Miss Controversy go on with the rest of the show, all right?
Okay.
No justice, no peace.
No
All
justice,
right.
no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Half a minute for your closing arguments. Go ahead. Brother May. Okay, all right, he's gone. Go ahead, answer him.
The president was wrong, signaling out different individuals, and he really did do it out of anger, and he did it out of disrespecting the whole body of council.
Wow.
Also, when he hand served the first set of letters to these 5 individuals, that's automatically a servant. When you serve somebody a letter like that, that's official, and he did it on East Cleveland's letterhead, which makes it terrible, because now you have the whole city involved in your mess, and it's a personal anger toward these certain people. He even came after the media. He even came after those that take the city council meetings, and then he turned around and mailed personally
Right.
his opinion to these people. He didn't just say, "Oh, okay, it's over with." He made it official. He didn't like you.
Right.
All right. So was this authorized by the
The-
was this authorized by the rest of council?
No,
the rest?
no,
it was
no, it
not.
wasn't.
So it was his dealing.
That
Yes,
was
Correct.
it's
So it
his
was
own
his
personal.
it's his dealing along with the police chief. It was
Yes.
their individual deal.
Let me just
Right.
say, Miss Controversy, you know what? Like I said, I live across town, but I had to go by myself and take a look at this area that they have developed for Arco recycling. And I had the privilege and an invitation to participate in a meeting with these individuals that also was attended by Nathaniel Martin, the councilman at large in East Cleveland. So where do we start with this?
Well, Arco, the recycling company, that came to be about in Cleveland, East Cleveland in, I think it was 2014.
Okay.
Apparently, I don't know all the council, whatever they had decided on at that time. According to the council, the recycling facility is not what, per the contract, is not what it is today. So when they signed off on the contract, it was with the notion that they were going to gain a monetary amount of $125,000, and that was supposed to pay for the payroll
For the city of East Cleveland.
for the city of East Cleveland. Yes.
Okay. It's my understanding, even after attending that meeting yesterday, that council members actually signed off on Arco Recycling Company acquiring that land and then operating it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Here's the thing, listeners. If anyone's listening, I want everyone to listen to me real closely. If you lived in a community that operated a recycling company right in your neighborhood where you lived, people need to go take a look at this, because I'm just saying, I'm outraged. Even if the legality of them buying the land, operating the land, and what they're doing, I don't think that any person that lived in a community would want to see this kind of thing every day.
No, absolutely.
So,
not.
you know, like I said, we were there at the meeting, and apparently the one councilman that is trying to get some information is Councilman Nathaniel Martin, as I said, and he enabled us and gave us a letter that he actually presented to Arco Recycling Company, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here's some questions that the people in the community have, and they're asking, you know, first of all, can the company provide a concrete wall for the residences near the business? What's the daily truck schedules that are dumping this material? What's the maintenance plan? Can you provide copies of a material safety data sheet? And according to Councilman Martin, none of these questions have been answered. Is that correct?
So far, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, I do know because of attending this meeting that Arco has a 10-day window to answer to these demands. But here's the most important part, okay, is being a resident. Okay, what's the most important part? Is the most important part you're wondering, how did this happen?
I think that, and as well as, what are they going to do about it? I mean, this is going on a year now, and it's gotten from when they first knocked it down to now almost a 4-story high structure of debris and mess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think anybody thought that what they initially agreed upon was going to be there this day. However, you do have 3 members of council who have said that they agree with the contents of the contract, and that's what reflects today. The councilman in that ward, the Ward 4 councilman, she was out there protesting and, hey, I'm all against this and everything like that. Lo and behold, she gets into city council and does a 180 and says, oh, yeah, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. So, you know, from going to be an activist against it into turning around and railroading her own people, you know, the people in that surrounding area, not just Noble Road. I mean, you have a daycare, there's a school right up the street, there's churches across the street. You have several streets that are directly affected by this facility. And I think maybe at this point now, it's not so much of as how did it get there, is what are we going to do about it now? Right. And that's basically what our organization is trying to do, is we're trying to make sure that we get the resources out to the people over there that are directly affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we can do to try to help them, and then also at the same time work with the within the proper parameters to try to get that facility out of their way.
You know what's interesting to me, and let's talk about this for a minute. Arco Recycling Company, owned by his name is Michael Riley.
George Michael Riley Sr.
George Michael Riley Sr. Let's talk about George Michael Riley Sr. and your interactions with him, because I have never heard of a business owner being so negative and hostile towards a community of people that just want to talk about what you're doing in my community.
Yeah, we've never directly spoken with him. We've only kind of heard tales of their interactions with him. He's from what we learned, he's a pretty unsavory person. He's not an honest person, not an honest businessman. He has gone all around the country basically doing these dumps, making businesses and turning them into something other than what they were supposed to be, and then leaving the state.
Wow.
So he's a felon.
Okay.
Just to put it.
You know, this is a really big issue and a huge problem. And, seeing that, and we talked about this yesterday in the meeting, part of the issue is that we have a whole community of the people of East Cleveland, which amounts to a little bit over 21,000 people.
About 17,000.
17,000, okay. And didn't we discuss like the ratio to the amount of people that are actually employed and paying taxes to the city being like 11,000?
11,000 that are not working and about 5,000 that do.
Okay. So about 5,000 people only are the people that are actually employed, paying taxes, participating in city government. And then you have another 11,000 people, residents of East Cleveland, that are absolutely complacent.
Correct.
And it's a terrible situation.
Absolutely.
So to even let something like this happen, like a Arco Recycling right in the middle of the city, speaks to the complacency of the city and the people's non-participation in the community that they live in.
Right. I think we have to also keep in mind that we do have a law director, and per our city charter, our law director has certain guidelines that are supposed to be abided by. And initially, in the beginning, the law director has changed hands since ARCO has come into place. The new law director did not perform an audit of the previous contracts that were passed and resolutions that were passed, which I would have thought as a lawyer is something you probably want to do given the state of East Cleveland.
Right.
However, like I said, the law director's job is basically to make sure that they go over the contracts, make sure before these things are passed that things are, A1.
Right.
And that was definitely a failure on the administration's part. I mean, city council and the mayor are supposed to follow the directives of the law director and to make sure that everything and all contracts and things that are set before them are properly assessed. And there obviously was a dereliction of duty when it came to the law director doing what they were supposed to do.
I completely agree with you. You know what? I want to take a couple of calls right now. You mind? Hey, caller, you're on the air. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I'm calling because I live near the tail end of that dump in East Cleveland, and ever since I've been coughing and gagging, and my doctor is trying to find out just what it is, because it is affecting my health. So what would you suggest?
Well, go ahead.
How you doing? First, you would have to get yourself to a doctor and ask them about.
Talk right into the microphone, please.
Yeah, how you doing? You would have to get your lead levels checked due to the fact that this dump is toxic and is really the way that the wind and the direction of the wind blowing. You would have to really get your lead checked because you may end up with respiratory failure due to this dump.
Oh,
I'm so sorry, sister.
thank you.
But in speaking about that, thank you so much for your call. In speaking about that, have the material safety data sheets been released to the public at this point? Do we know exactly what material is being dumped there?
No. We do not know.
Why don't we know?
City council failed to get that.
The proper information.
Right.
City council failed to get the proper information about what materials will be getting dumped at the Arco Recycling Company.
Also, a data sheet of the tour of the facility of how it's set up, a yard map of what materials are what, where. You can suffer from asbestos poison all the way down to Legionnaires, E. coli. It's a random number of diseases that are floating in that dump itself due to the fact that we don't know what they put and where they put it.
Right, I agree with you. So what's the next step? Has the EPA been contacted?
EPA has been contacted. Also, the
The Department of Health and Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District.
Okay.
They've obtained, so far we've learned that they have obtained their permits legally. And so at this point, that's where we're at as far as those permits. The city council has not obtained those permits, nor have they asked for them.
Wow. You know what? We're talking today about the city of East Cleveland and the situation at Arco Recycling Company. I'm here with my guest, so you can give us a call at 216-578-1490. Hey, Art, did you have an opportunity to deal with this gentleman, Mr. Riley, over at Arco? Tell us about that, Art.
Yes, he is the most unscrupulous business owner you will ever want to meet. It is on, if you go to 44112news.com, you will see video of the way Mr. Riley tried to treat me, cussed at me. As a matter of fact, he threatened to do bodily harm to me until he found out that I wasn't scared of him. But yes, and not only me, but the residents of that street, Noble Road,
Yes.
he treats them like they're a bunch of trash. And you know why he treats us like that? It's because he knows that basically we're poor and he's rich, and he think that his money, we are a bunch of dirt because he got more money than we do. But he don't understand the power of the people. But this man, once he's really exposed, you'll see that this man is the scum of the earth. And he's the kind of person that don't care nothing about that community, about them people. If he did,
He would never have put that there.
he would never. Where people used to barbecue in their backyard,
They sure can't do it now.
he put a dump right on top of their backyard.
Wow.
That he don't care nothing about them. So that's answer the question. And many people right on that street will tell you the same thing. He talks about them and treat them like a dog.
Wow. Art, come on, let's go to take some calls. Hi, caller, you're on the air.
I was sitting there listening to the program, and I was wondering why the people in East Cleveland, if they have a problem with what's going on in the area,
Yes.
why don't they just move? Like if you have a lease on you move into a house and you have a year's lease or whatever, and you have a problem,
Okay.
something in the house, well, you can't just stay there if you have a problem. Why don't you just
Okay,
move?
caller, we're going to answer your question. One of my guests, please answer the lady.
The reason is some of them people, well, mostly all the residents over there has been there over 30 years. We have residents that's 104 years old, 84 years old. Why should they run from this man's problem? They didn't ask to have their lovely backyard filtered with lead poison or anything else. They're residents that pay their taxes, wanted a beautiful home to raise their kids, their grandkids. This dump has made them 100% totally sick, and you can't even see out their windows, which they have to wash on a daily basis just to keep the poison
Let's
out of
take it
their
a little
home.
further.
Okay.
That's just like asking all the people in Flint, Michigan,
Right.
to
Why
move.
don't you just move?
Why don't you just move?
Right.
So that's what you're asking. Why would you want all the East Cleveland people to move? And we're not just talking about, listen, East Cleveland is about a 3.5 mile stretch of land. All right, very
What,
very
about
valuable land.
21,000?
So
It's about 3 miles long.
all right,
About
so
21,000 residents.
Yeah, just
all
about.
right, so
Okay.
here's what we're talking about. Of course, the dump is on Noble Road, but it affects the whole city of East Cleveland. Okay,
Right.
let's make that clear. All right, so
Right.
you're asking for
And
everybody
I
to move.
feel like
Right,
if
right.
the person is been there for a long time, that's invading the privacy. You know what I mean? And I feel like the person that's making the problem should move.
All right. Hey, so come on, let's take some more calls. Hey, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, this is Terry from East Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey, Terry.
I was on the bus yesterday and turned around and looked at that dump. And first of all, Art and your guests, it shouldn't be there in the first place. It's in a residential area. It's right behind houses.
Mm-hmm.
It's making people sick. It's a dump. And as Art mentioned, it's a Flint, Michigan with garbage. It shouldn't be there. It should be out of here as fast as possible. It's making folks in East Cleveland, Ohio sick. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you.
And
Thank you
so
for your
as
call.
we
Okay, so we wanted to set this up, and we're getting a few calls now from some residents. But for the people that don't live in East Cleveland, I suggest any concerned person, because I'm a concerned person. Why don't you just take a ride over to Arco Recycling Company at 1705 Noble Road in East Cleveland and take a look at this for yourself. And any person that cares about their family and their community will understand what a horrible issue this is. Do you agree?
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Okay, and as we get down to what we call the nuts and bolts of what's going on and trying to follow this money trail, because that's basically what it is. That lot, as it is my understanding, belonged to GE.
That's
Correct.
correct.
Okay, it was a GE building
Correct.
that had been sitting empty and abandoned for years.
Correct.
And so this gentleman comes in, whether it was him or him individually, but it's also my understanding that you guys have information that he actually paid for the demolition of this building.
Yes,
He
did.
also paid for the demolition, but by GE are still using the electricity towers there.
Uh-huh.
That is now charging, when the dust particles come through, that's charging off that electricity coming in, turning it into lead.
Wow. Wow. And let's talk about those dust particles again. This is one of the things that Mr. Martin stated in his letter to Mr. Riley regarding a silk fence that catches dust, because all of this kind of stuff rises in the air and it's out there.
Right.
I'm starting to think that this Mr. Riley don't give a doggone about black people. What you say?
No, he doesn't.
No.
No.
I feel like when they first heard about this recycling, they should have looked more into it, because he came like an angel of light and
To rescue the city with money.
right, to
Right.
rescue the city with money, and then he turned around and did his own contract where he blocked the city from even trying to shut him down.
Wow. And you
Also, before Michael Riley came with this dump, we knew about his dump situation from previous properties he's owned. Wayside, it never changed. The rodent problem over there, which drove him from there to find a new location, which East Cleveland was the next stomping ground for him. And it's another recycling dump that he has that we can't say right now due to the fact that somebody else is looking at it for future reference. But he didn't change anything. He just went from I'll put it in my brother's name, I'll put it in my wife's name, I'll put it in my cousin's name. And he came to East Cleveland with it in a whole different direction and tried to sublease it.
Okay. Just another place to dump waste.
Correct.
Wow. And our lines are lit up. Let's talk
Commercial
Paul.
and
Hi, caller.
residential. I don't see how that even passed through the Board of Zoning Appeals when you don't even have all the key players that are supposed to be there. You're supposed to have an engineer. You're supposed to have your fire chief, your mayor, who acts as chair. You're supposed to have all these key players in here to ensure that it's properly zoned, it's safe for the residents. And then also, according to Cuyahoga County, a recycling facility is not supposed to be with no more than 1,000 feet
From a residential.
from a residence. I mean,
Okay.
and this is a 80-foot. You've got the recycling center, and then you've got just to someone's backyard is less than 80 feet. In
Okay.
certain terms, like I said, I kind of always take it back to the law. The city has a law director who's supposed to be a civil servant. No legislation gets passed, according to any city charter, when you have provisions for a law director. No city ordinance, legislation, or anything like that gets passed without the law director approving that piece of legislation first. So it doesn't matter if they sat there and saw the contract and he described that he was going to put a swimming pool there. The law director's job is to make sure that they pick apart that contract. If there's a period where a period is not supposed to be, that means that there is room for you to add an addendum or add whatever else you want into there. That's what a lawyer's job is supposed to do. And they're supposed to prepare all contracts. They're supposed to oversee them and make sure that they are conducive to the operation of the city. Like I said, the law director should have done an audit when they first came in there, looking at the contract. They should have made sure that all permits were supposed to be given to them. Everything that was supposed to be what it is today should be in that contract, and it was not done.
Right.
Well, we really have to look into this a lot further than where it's at, and something definitely need to be done.
And cleaning up this project for something that we didn't even ask for in these people's backyard is the hardest battle, and we need everybody to support this, to get this dump out of these people's backyard and give it back to East Cleveland the way it was originally supposed to be, clean and healthy. Because these people in that area didn't ask for this dump to be given to them like this. And you're taking away their families, their future families, and it's killing them.
At this juncture that we're at, there are a lot of people that may not be able to do that. I mean, there's a lot of people that are kind of, they're sick. I mean, that's really what we want to try to get across to, is that there are people in that surrounding area, they cannot move, they're sick. We need people that are actually going to be able to go out to these residents, whether there's nurses, some type of mobile nurse, anyone that can come and check on these people, someone that can take their lead levels, test their lead levels, get their water tested, get them immediate help in terms of health and safety wise, because they're being directly affected by all of that debris that's coming into their windows, that's coming in through their air systems. I mean, this right now is what we need, is a call of action.
Exactly. So we're talking about a call of action. So while we have all of you here right now, if you had an opportunity, and guess what? You have one right now, to speak to everyone that's within our listening audience. How can we get in touch with you? Where's the next meeting? And how can we join this fight with you, and to find out what's going on with Arco recycling?
The children are our future in this type of situation, because kids can cross that fence into that dump, and that's really a major no-no for us, because we found out it's rats over there, big as cats, and they had the county come out and do the rodent and abatement situation, and they said, nothing is in the traps. I said, well, what bait are you putting in there? Because these rats are big as cats, and they're entering these people's home, and I'm not talking crawling in through a hole, I'm talking knocking on the front door.
Go ahead.
Also, the council call themselves being funny about the situation. They have private little meetings on stuff that we're trying to help, and they have private meetings to kick us to the side as citizens, not tell you every informational piece that you need to know. How bad does it get is the fact that we ourselves were railroaded into a meeting place that Helen S. Brown Center never happened, to what is the Astros, the center over on Superior.
Right.
We were all in one day. We were railroaded 3 different locations, and then come to find out they put it in a church, and the church was dead dark. We looked like we was walking into a cult type situation.
The thing about it is the citizens can do more. They can do a lot about this. They have to remember, as a registered voter, you're able to go out, you're able to vote for who you want to vote for, and as well as you can recall city leaders that are not doing their job, as well as you can get in touch with judges, you can get in touch with congressmen, senators, state representatives. I would really, really implore and encourage people to reach out to the state officials and county government officials who are out there that will be willing to help. Reach out to them. Marcia Fudge, Kent Smith. I mean, anyone who is in a position that is able to help us to be able to get some type of help coming to East Cleveland, I would encourage people to make those phone calls, call the EPA and complain, call the Department of Health and complain. I mean, the more and more people that we get on board, come into city council meetings. I mean, we should have standing room only at these city council meetings. Come out and support the people that are out here on Noble Road and the surrounding areas. I mean, come out and support your city and let them know that there's an injustice that is going on with the people of East Cleveland. And we cannot sit and we cannot go quietly into the night, allowing them to continue to do what they're doing. And we have to do something about it. And it can't be just us 5 sitting here. It can't be just us. We're asking the people, and if you have a heart for the city of East Cleveland, come to these city council
Hear
meetings.
what our guests are saying. Listen, forget about all the. Don't forget about it. Work with all the legislation. Work with all that. But right now we got a health problem. Listen, this is the little Flint, Michigan that nobody's talking about. That's why we're so glad to have our guests on. Listen, this place and what is happening in this city is they're poisoning our water, land, and air. Listen. I live in East Cleveland. I have children here. I'm mad as heck about this, and we're going to do something about it. Listen, but right now we got seniors, we got the churches, we got everybody. So what we want to do is on April the 21st at 4:30, we're going to have this big East Cleveland march. The little Flint, Michigan, East Cleveland march. We're going to start at East Cleveland City Hall at 4:30 Thursday, April the 21st. And we're going to march from East Cleveland City Hall right into the area, right into that dump. What we're gonna have the 84-year-old seniors. We're gonna have people in wheelchairs. We're gonna have the people that called that say they can't breathe. We're gonna have the children involved. In other words, when you all come out by the thousands and we take over Euclid Avenue and we take over the city, then we'll be able to get answers from Marshall Fudge. Then we'll be able to get answers from the governor. Then we don't worry about the mayor and them because they're ignoring us already. So we're gonna go over their head. We might even have to get the president of the United States or the vice president here, because there's one thing for sure. If you look at the city of East Cleveland and the way they're disrespecting our elderly, the way they're disrespecting our children, the way the health issues, listen, we're not taking it anymore. Is that right, East Cleveland 5?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And so
Move
we are glad to join with you all. Listen, I know that all around the country, all around Cleveland, you took bus loads, you took water, you did everything. You went over to Flint, Michigan. Well, we're telling you right now, come to East Cleveland, because this is the little Flint, Michigan right here. Listen, people always want to go way away from and travel and go over there. So I went to Washington, I went to New York, I went to Flint. Well, heck, it's time to come right here to East Cleveland, where our people are getting sick. That's what these people here. Listen, we got to go. Listen, each of you all will get the last word. You all have a minute for closing arguments. Then we're going to close this part of the segment out, okay?